Well, it's an historic day in Australian media with Foxtel formally merging with Austar and XYZ Networks. It's going to be a huge task to integrate the companies, so what does it mean for subscribers and the industry? James Manning from Mediaweek is here with more. James, just firstly, what does it mean for subscribers of the three companies?
Not a hell of a lot, because they've already, there's been basically the similar offering going out right across, basically the same channel lineup, a few minor quirks. Foxtel is able to confirm today that, look, the Austar customers who take the sports package will be able to get those Olympic Games channels at no extra charge. A couple of other things for Austar customers: they get a bigger suite of HD channels now, something which they didn't have access to before. And then for Foxtel customers, very minor change, they get a couple of extra news channels. They get Al Jazeera, which is a place where Hamish McDonald used to work before he went to 10, and the Chinese news channel CCTV. So that sort of bolted onto the Foxtel package.
Given it's going to be a much bigger company then, is this going to change the media landscape much yet, do you think?
No, certainly not initially. There are a few minor things we've talked about in the past, like what it means for XYZ. Those channels come under Foxtel's sole sort of guidance now. But it's one of the reasons I think the ACCC waved the deal through. But it's still, the same offering was going out to consumers just from two companies. Now the same offering will go out from one company.
All right, thanks for that. Let's just turn to some of the other news that we saw this week, and a survey out showing that there are now tablets in 15% of homes in Australia. James, this was quite interesting because the survey also found that viewers still prefer the largest screen to watch video. Yeah,
we hear a lot about the second screen, the third screen, all that sort of stuff, and yeah, the 15% of homes, then you can expect that number to grow pretty dramatically over the next few years. How high it will get, that'll be the interesting thing. But yeah, viewers still sure when they have a choice, it's definitely the screen of choice is your bigger plasma or your LCD in the corner of the lounge room.
Also, some really interesting stats about the Wiggles after we had the retirement of three of the Wiggles. Some really interesting figures coming out.
Yeah, the Murray, Jeff and Anthony actually own 30% each of the company. Greg Page sold out his shareholding to the partners a couple of years ago. They think for around about $20 million. And the three new Wiggles, including the Wigglette, who's the first female member, they'll be all on a salary. Again, they think maybe around something like the $200,000 mark.
Also, looking at media earners, we had the BRW Rich List, the top 200 released as well. And I guess if you discount those with media stakes like the Gina Rineharts, who dominated the list?
Yeah, the media people on the list was... we've got a graphic there, I think, of them too. Gina Rinehart's an investor in the media now. She's got stakes in 10 and Fairfax, of course, but she doesn't fit the sector because she delves in lots of other sort of investment areas. But sort of the people, there's only 4 out of the 200 who are solely down there as media people, and you could argue Kerry Stokes too, maybe these days. He's got other investments. Bruce Gordon from Wynn, of course, Harold Mitchell from the agency, and John Singleton, of course, 2GB, and also significant agency holdings.
And another list as well, the Australians most influential in sport, and there are a few media names in that top three, top 5.
Yeah, 3 of the top 5 were media people. David Leckie from 7, David Gingell from 9, and Kim Williams from News Limited. I'm a bit torn between this. You can see, absolutely, I think it's correct, but sometimes you think, well, how important are the media people really for the sports side of it? I think they sort of come in and ride on the coattails of that list, but that could change too in next year. If James Warburton gets a bit of the action with the NRL, you could see his name up there too.
And also we had the list of the top 100 global brands, and amazing to see an Australian brand there making the top 100.
Sure, yeah, it's a very tech-dominated list. There's the top there. You can see Apple, IBM, Google, McDonald's, Microsoft. IBM's the sort of odd one out there for me, because I think, gee, is that really as big a bigger brand internationally as certainly as it once was? Facebook and MasterCard and Hermes, the big movers down there. You'd be very familiar with the luxury brands, Brodie.
Oh, of course, I'm sure. There every weekend.
But yeah, the notable one was the first time an Australian brand, CommBank, has crashed its way in there all the way up to number 60. Again, you'd sort of, they don't have a massive international profile, where some other banks like ANZ do, but CommBank doing well.
Time to talk TV now. Let's firstly have a look at the ratings for week 20. This is for free-to-air TV first, and James, look, The Voice there, clear number one again.
Yeah, and I think that'll be there through till the end, but I make rash predictions and they go wrong, but you think The Voice is going to be there for another 5 weeks yet, I think.
And just turning the page as well, 7 News at number 6. The Block also doing really good numbers for 9 there, and 7 News at number 9 spot there.
Yeah, and the Bikie Wars did pretty well. When you include the sort of viewing across the following week, about 1.4 million, but I think it'll be lucky to make that chart next week. So the numbers were down a bit for episode 2.
And let's have a look at the top 5 sport programs on subscription TV for week 20, NRL there and AFL games. And looking at the top 5 non-sport, The Simpsons topping there, the most watched for Fox 8. Just turning to some news out of the TV sector this week, 10 has announced a return to this late night news program.
Yeah, we mentioned Hamish McDonald before, former Al Jazeera. He came across to 10, worked on that George Negus show that didn't really get the audience it was after at 6:30, so he's going into a late night news slot. 10 owned that space a few years ago, at least amongst the commercial channels, and they'll be sort of looking to pick it up again. Won't be a pure news show, it'll be a sort of bit of other stuff too, but very strong news base. They'll cover entertainment and other sorts of stuff. I think it starts on June 4, Monday night.
Right, we've also got some ratings, very big game this week, of course, if you're a rugby league fan, and a very happy week too if you support Queensland.
For sure,
the Origin match there are the ratings.
Yeah, let's call it 4 million people around Australia, maybe even a bit more if you can count sort of, you know, group in hotel audiences and that, which don't get measured in these figures. But yeah, massive, the biggest Origin game ever, certainly since the Oztam's been looking after the ratings, so Nine are very happy about that and still got 2 games to come. And it just shows you the worth of those NRL rights and the talk that they might hive off the Origin, the rights for Origin as a separate package. So it'll be a very attractive little sweet little deal to get.
Something we will continue talking about, I'm sure, over coming months. Thanks so much for that, James.
Thanks,
James Manning, the editor and publisher of Media Week. That's all we've got time for from the team here. Thanks for your company.